Canada. There's nothing like serving in a church plant that reminds you how important church family is and how much you love them. And so I'm really am glad to be back. And also I want to say before I get started, just thank you guys so much for y'all's support, y'all's donations and prayers. I could not have gotten there without you guys, and I could not have made it through the whole time without you guys. I'm so grateful for just everything that you guys did for me to get me there and while I was there and coming back and all of those things. So thank you guys so much for all of that. The first thing that I want to do on my missions recap is introduce you guys to some of the key characters who were there. And I want y'all to know, disclaimer, I have no idea how long I'm going to talk. So genetically, probably a long time. But we'll see. But anyway, so here are some of the first people. So this is our intern group. This is Andy. He is from South Central-ish, Dry Creek. Yeah, he's from there, and he goes to LC, and he wants to be a pastor. This is Olivia. She just graduated from Louisiana Tech. She's from Winfield. She's super sweet. That's obviously me. And then that is JL. And me and JL look a lot alike. And yeah, JL like in the Bible, the tent peg. Yeah. And so she's really cool. And she is from Okotoks. So she's local. And she actually, so her family, the Breeze family, is who me and Olivia stayed with while we were in Canada. So this is JL and her other sister, Ellen. Can y'all see my cursor? Yes. So that's Ellen. She is a year older than me, and JL is like a couple months younger than me. So it was super awesome to stay with that family and have two friends built in. And also it was the family that I stayed with the first time I went to Canada. So it was really just a blessing to be able to reconnect with them and hang out with them, because they did a really good job of loving us and helping us with everything that we needed. And so this is the Taylor family. Y'all know that this is Mr. Dennis. He is the dad at the Breeze's house. He's the dad at the house that I was staying at. This was the most normal picture I could find of him. So he's a really awesome guy. He's really fun. That's when it hailed. It hailed, and it looks like snow. I have never seen hail that big in my life, and it was the middle/end of June. It was crazy. Anyway, these are the Taylor kids. This is Melody, John Mark, and Madeline. We spent a lot of time with them, especially in like the first. They're the Taylors, the pastor, his children. Y'all might remember if they talked about it whenever Emmanuel did their recap. And so that's them, the Taylors. I don't have a picture of Nathan and Emily together. So I think, you know, they've been here. Y'all know them. Anyway, so this is our next family. This is the Keysmans. They're a key part of the team at Cornerstone Church, which is where I was serving, obviously. And so this is Theo, this is Ari, and then that's Dan. Ari is 3, Theo is 7, and then Dan is their dad. I don't have a picture of his wife, Kristen, but that's their mother. And so they were really awesome to hang out with. They became very sweet friends to me and the intern teams, and they were just super good at making us feel at home and helping us on all of our mission stuff. And then this is Dozer. That's the dog at the house. I do not really like dogs, but I love this dog. He is precious. He's like this big. He is really sweet and awesome. Anyway, I don't need to talk about him for super long, but he's great. Anyway, so week 1, before I get into week 1, I want to talk about the culture and like religious landscape of Canada. I know that they talked about that a little bit before, and I did when I was zoomed in to church. But it really is like, they won't say that they're anti-Christian, but they don't want to hear what you have to say. The second I would mention church, they would change the subject. They were never mean to me, but it was definitely obvious that A, they didn't want to talk about it, and B, they were really good at getting you to not talk about it. They were really good at being like, so Louisiana, you know, anything aside from church. And if they were open to asking you about church, they'd be like, are you Mormon? And I'm like, no, I am not Mormon at all, because there are lots of Mormons up there. And so it's just very shallow. They're all very spiritual. I said this when I was on the screen, but witchcraft is the highest growing religion in Okotoks, which is mind blowing to me. But it's true. And also the people there, Like, they come home from work, they go in the house, and they don't come back out until they go to work the next morning. But their kids are like at the park. Their kids, like, there were kids riding their bike. Like, I would be at the coffee shop and there would just be kids like appearing parentless, and like they had ridden their bike across town, which is cool. But the parents, like, they're not seeking community, and that's definitely taking a toll on the community, as we'll talk about later, because there were multiple people who were like, I just want to make a friend. I haven't made a friend. We're like, well, come outside of your house, come hang out with us, you know? So that's kind of the soil that we're working in right there. But during the first week we were there, we went on a tour of Okotoks, the whole town, and a seminary. There's a seminary about 2 hours away in Cochrane, I think is the name of the town. And so we toured there. We met with the former pastor of South Winds, the church that we went with the first time, or that we went with last year, Emmanuel did. We met with Bo, and he was great. And for a little bit of context, so Cornerstone is part of the CLN, which is the Community Life Network, which is 4 churches. It's South Winds, Junction, Ibea, which is a Spanish-speaking church, and I'll talk more about them in a minute, and Cornerstone. So Cornerstone is the newest one, and they all work together. They share a storage facility, and they're really good at just coming alongside each other, because they, like, South Winds will grow big enough, and then they'll send people out. So Cornerstone is like a branch, or it was sent out of South Winds. So that's just some context that you'll need for later. And then we were looking for volunteer opportunities. Part of the internship, the program that we were doing, was they wanted us to get plugged in with the community, because you're not going to reach people if you're only at the church. So we were looking for volunteer communities. We called up the food bank and the thrift store, and we ended up working at the thrift store, which was super awesome. Me and my friend Olivia were in the warehouse going through clothes, and I'll probably talk more about that in a minute. And then we had these discipleship meetings, which those were probably some of my favorite parts of it, because there were leaders of the leaders in the churches in the community life network. One of them was the pastor of the Spanish-speaking church. One of them was a member. 2 of them were members of South Winds, and then it was only 3 of them. Anyway, and they were all just super awesome and encouraging. They talked about topics like contextualization, evangelism, and like how to like be in a new context and like form assumptions that are like actually correct and accurate, instead of just like working off of your own bias. And then we also had ones about like living on missions, families on mission, like how to like balance missions and life and all of those things. And so those were like all really helpful. And like I could just tell, like, these are people who like have been in the field for years and years. Like, and one of the guys, he and his wife were missionaries in Portugal for like longer than I've been alive. And so it was really cool to see how their experience in Portugal compared to their experience in Canada, and like how the skills that they learned and like the lessons that they learned translated. And it was just awesome for me to be able to sit under them and to just listen to what they had to say, because they had a lot of just amazing things to say. And then we also like, we're doing life with these people. We're just like coming alongside the Taylors and the Breezes. And so we were like, I'm a pastor's kid. I'm used to the pastor's family life, but it was really cool to like have meals with people who were thinking of joining the church, and like just like to see that, obviously, no, to see like how like the Taylors are just living in Canada, and Nathan is a pastor, and obviously that's hard. But like when Emily goes out with the kids, they're on a mission trip. Like they're missioning right there. They're trying to make connections and bring people in and share the gospel with them. And so seeing like how their real everyday life was the same as their ministry was really cool. And so that was just like eating meals with the members. It was just like meals with friends, but it was definitely, you could tell what they were trying to do and their heart in it, and those kinds of things. So that was really cool. So the second week is when Emmanuel came, and that was super fun. I'm not going to harp on this week too much, because obviously they talked about it a lot. But before they got there, we had the women's Bible study. The way that they do it is they alternate Tuesdays of like women's, men's, women's, men's. And so that was the first women's one since we were there. And it was really encouraging it was only like 4 or 5, it was only like 3 women excluding the interns. But it was still very cool to see how much they loved each other and just like the friendship and the desire that each woman had for the other ones to be growing in their relationship with God. And it was just really cool and fun. And they were doing a Bible study that we had done here, I think. And so that was cool too. And so then Emmanuel got here. Most of Emmanuel's focus was culminating in like the kids fest and the women's event and the block party. But before that, we passed out flyers and that was cool. We had a lot of interesting interactions. We sent Olivia, who's from Louisiana, out with JL. And at one point they met this guy. JL is from Canada. They met this guy and he was an older man and he was like, "Where are you from? You sound really different." And Olivia's like, "I'm from Louisiana." And he was like, "That's so cool." And then he, of course, is like, "I love Donald Trump." And you're like, "That's interesting. You're in Canada." And so they talked about that for a little bit. And then JL started talking and he realized that she was from Canada. And he was like, "Oh, that's so boring." But that's just like being an outsider in this situation definitely like gave us more opportunities to share with people because like you're different. And also like the same way that we like before I went to Canada, I was like, man, all these people are nice and eat syrup and live in igloos. Like they all think that we from the South are like they have their own preconceptions. And so they're like, oh, they're going to be like overly nice and like that kind of thing. And so like they don't think twice when we as Southerners are talking too much. They're like, we have to let them talk because they're not from here. They don't understand that you're not supposed to do that. So we got to have a lot of interesting interactions because of that. And that was just one example of that. And so Olivia meets with a friend when we were at it was after we had an interview to work at the thrift store. And after our interview, we went shopping, obviously, at the thrift store. And Olivia was just sitting in line. She was about to buy this really cute sweatshirt that she found. Anyway, and she started talking to this girl who was in front of her. And anyway, they ended up exchanging numbers and like having coffee that week, which was super awesome because that's what we were there for, to make friends and make connections. And the friend ended up being like she was already Christian, but that was just a really good connection point to other churches and like to see what people our age were doing in Okotoks because it's hard to connect with people that you can't find. And we could not find any young people or any people our age. Like they were just, I don't know where they were. They were at work or school or something because we were looking. Anyway, so we had to talk to her and figure out where they were. And so that was really helpful. And it was also just a cool thing to see. And then we had the block party and the women's night, which they talked about. But so at the block party, we met this lady, Natasha. And I like happened to be doing the beads and her kids love the beads. And so I spent a lot of time talking with her. And we invited her to the women's night. She came to the women's night. And one thing that she said was like, she was like, "I've been in Okotoks for like 6 months and I haven't made any friends. I'm looking for connection." So she got to like Kristen, Kiesman, and Emily both gave her their phone number. And so that is just another step in the relationship. Like they invited her to church, but she was like, "I'm not ready for that yet." But she sent her kids to kids camp later in the summer. So she obviously liked us a little bit, you know. So that was really cool. And then I think I have some pictures. Yes. Okay. So this is us at the block party. This is the whole gang. You see some familiar faces. There's my dad. This is Miss Emily. Anyway. And then this is at the Kids Fest. And this is a pancake breakfast. And you may be like, wow, that's a lot of people at a pancake breakfast. That's not a lot of people. That's like 1/4 of the amount of people at a pancake breakfast. They have pancake breakfast in Canada for Canada Day. It's like the 4th of July, but the Canadian version, less cool version. I'm kidding. And so anyway, they have pancake breakfast and everyone loves them and they're always so busy. And so this one had like 4 grills. The next one that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit had like 10 in a row and it was crazy. But anyway, so that was cool. And it was just like Cornerstone. I really appreciate how Cornerstone makes like a super concentrated effort to just show up for the community, to be at like things like the Kids Fest and then later Taste of Okotoks, because they don't want people to be able to forget about them. They want to, when you think of Okotoks, you think of Cornerstone being there and helping with things. And even like the people at the city, like me and Olivia and Ellen got to this event like really early for some reason. And we like walked up and these guys, this was Cornerstone's second year of working at this. And the guys who were in charge of it were like, "Are you guys with Cornerstone?" And we're like, yes, we are. And he was like, "Just go do the grill." And we're like, okay. But anyway, like they knew who we were. They remembered us because of our blue shirts. And so that was just cool. And so the next weeks, the 3rd through the 5th weeks, this was when things really like, we were getting into the groove of things. Like there was a rhythm. Like Monday was our Sabbath. Tuesday we had our meetings. Wednesday, Thursday, me and Olivia would volunteer. We would go to a coffee shop in the morning and try to make friends. But once again, where were the people our age? Not at the coffee shops, but we were trying. And so we would be there in the mornings, and then we go to the thrift store in the evenings. And the thrift store, like, it was Mission's thrift store. It's a Christian thrift store, but obviously not all of the employees are Christian. And so it was just a really good chance for us to be able to, in like a safe setting, like we knew that we weren't gonna like get beat up for it. We wouldn't get beat up for it, but like in it anywhere. But like we could talk about our faith and like how our lives are like kind of just like completely impacted and changed by that, and aspects of our faith in that setting. And so me and Olivia were working in the clothing. I think I said that. We would get there and there would be like 4 or 5 like big old bins full of clothes. And then like we would go through it. We'd get through like 2 of them and then we would blink and there would be like 6 rows of them. We're like, okay, this is kind of crazy. Like that's how many people come in and how like big of a deal this thing is. And so we probably were like a drop in the efforts of Mission Thrift Store, but it was really fun and it was a blessing for us. We got to talk to a lot of people. A lot of the people who worked there were like retired and just looking for something to like keep them busy, you know? And so it was really cool to hang out with all the people. There like the main lady was Luann and she was really sweet and funny. And then there were like Olivia, I'm just gonna like hype her up for a second. She's just like the nicest person I've ever met in like my whole life. She's so sweet. And like people, like it was insane. I'm sitting here watching and I'm like, am I like really mean or is she really nice? And I think it's probably both. And like people, like these ladies are just coming up to Olivia and like telling her all of their problems. She's like, well, I'm so, and like she always, I know it's the Lord. It's not like Olivia's doing, but she's awesome. I'm gonna hype her up. She's my friend. But like, she like knew what to say, and she was like, I'm just gonna be praying for y'all. And like the amount of times that these old ladies were like, you guys are just such a blessing to see. And that was like a blessing to me to hear. I mean, they were talking to Olivia, but I felt like in extension, I kind of got some of that. But I don't know if that's real. But it was just cool because sometimes like when you're doing the same thing every day and you're not like I didn't share the gospel all that many times, like literally share the gospel. It was really easy to forget like what the point of it was. And obviously the point is to further God's kingdom, but you can do that by just being a good influence in someone's life. Like obviously to be saved, you have to hear the gospel and respond to it. But it was just a good reminder every time that happened that like we weren't doing anything in vain. Like the Lord was bigger than what I expected to happen. So that was really cool. Working there was awesome. And it was also just really fun. If you guys go volunteer at a thrift store, it's really fun. I enjoyed like every moment I was there. And then Canada Day, that's July 1st. Pancake breakfast, guys. I don't know. I think it's more of like a Calgary Stampede thing to do pancake breakfast, but like 4,000 or 5,000 people are getting fed at these things, and like you're just flipping pancakes for 5 hours straight, and it was like it's crazy, and you're seeing like all of these people, and so a lot of churches in that area, especially in the like network that we were in, they have to rent spaces from people, like from like community centers and stuff like that. So one of the community centers that Junction was like meeting at, they have a big pancake breakfast. And so we went and helped with that because we weren't doing anything else that day. And that was really fun. And then the Saturday, which was the 4th of July. I love the 4th of July. That's irrelevant. But we were at a pancake breakfast, and that was the one with South Winds, which is the church that Emmanuel came with. Anyway, it was just huge, and I made pancakes, and you'll see because I have pictures. And then at the end of the 5th week, right before the last week, we had a young adults event, which was super awesome because we're inviting anybody who's about our age who we've talked to once. We're please come to this thing. There's gonna be hot dogs, and we were really overhyping it. It was really fun, but we were embellishing quite a bit. But a lot of people came, and actually, so there's a church in Okotoks. It's an Alliance church. I think that's the denomination. That's the denomination. There you go, the Christian Missionary Alliance. And we got to we invited them, and we thought that none of them were gonna come, and then a bunch of them came. And so I think that the young adults event was really a good chance for Cornerstone to build a connection with another church. And so that was really cool. And also we got to talk to this one girl. Her aunt is a member at Cornerstone, or comes to Cornerstone a lot. And we invited her. We had had a game night with her earlier in the trip, and she came and she was talking, and she was like, yeah, I've just been going through a lot. I feel like these things and my friends aren't really good. Anyway, and she was like, I just want some advice. Well, mind you, second time meeting her, which, hey, we were super excited to answer, but it was just we got to give her some biblical advice about the things that she was walking through. And so that was really cool to see. And then actually she went and had coffee with Ellen, the daughter at the Breeze's house, the house I was staying at, last Wednesday. So that's super awesome. The relationships are continuing. And then we met this other girl, Miss Shannon, the mom at the house I was staying at. She is an accountant, and one of her clients' daughters came. And they've also been in contact since that. And so that's really cool too. They're not Christian. But anyway, and it was also we had told them it was a church event. So we felt like we could talk about church, and we did. And so it was a really awesome and relaxed opportunity to talk about things like that. And then we had more discipleship meetings. Ron is the missionary, or he was the guy in Portugal. And then Elaine is super awesome and funny and cool, and she works at Southwinds, and she has been church planting for ever, and she just had a lot to share about the reality of church planting. It's not all good, it's not all bad either, but she was very upfront with us, and it was just really cool to get that perspective, because Nathan, he really just wants us to come back. He was like, you guys should come back to Cornerstone forever. We're like, I gotta graduate first. But anyway, so it was cool to have a more unbiased, not that he was lying to us, he wasn't. He was doing awesome, but he had ulterior motives. But anyway, so we got to meet with them, and they were really cool. And we also met with Antonio, who was the pastor at the Spanish-speaking church, and he was super cool to talk to him. He had been a missionary, he was from Mexico. He had been to the Northwest and of the States, and then he went back down and then went to Canada, and so he just had so much wisdom, and that was really awesome to just hear from him and all the things that he had to share. And so some pictures. This is me at my first time making pancakes, by the way. I prefer waffles, but anyway, that was fun. And then this is you can't see down this line, but there's 10 grills, and we are all frantically flipping as fast as we can. That's Andy. That's the pastor at the Junction Church, one of the other churches in the network. This was the young adults event. That's, give me a minute. I know her name. I think it's Olivia. Her name is Olivia. Huh? Oh no. Oh no. Hello? Oh. I'm going to refresh and see if that works. And if it doesn't, y'all will just have to believe me without my photo evidence. Okay, should be better. Yes, okay, all is well. Okay, so this is, no, her name is Carly. Her name was Carly. Katie. Her name was Katie, guys. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's me. That's JL again. This guy, he is very interesting. He's a circus performer, and Ellen is also a circus performer. So when we set up at the Kids Fest, which was like week 2, the circus people were like, we don't want to be set. They weren't mean, but they like didn't like, they saw us set up. They saw like Cornerstone Church, and they were like, no. So they like went to the other side of where we were, and Ellen was like, I circus perform. I'm gonna go talk to him. So she went and talked to him and like gave him the church's Instagram, and he came to the like young adults event 3 weeks later, which was really cool. So he was there, and then this is Lena. She's the girl whose aunt goes to the church, and this is in the Keesman's backyard. Those boys from in the beginning. We just had hot dogs, did games. It was really fun. A lot of these people are from the Alliance, the other church, and it was just really fun to fellowship and hang out with these people. It was cool. And then, okay, week 6, the final week. This was really, really busy. We had 2 teams come up from the States, which shows you how busy it was going to be because we had 2 teams. That's 2 teams worth of stuff to do. And so we had a vacation Bible school, but we called it kids camp because they don't know what that means. They don't know what VBS is. And then we had soccer camp. And those were both like, VBS was in the morning and soccer camp was in the evening, and afternoon. It was really fun. Both of those were, they were super great. I'll have pictures to show you guys. I'll talk more about each of them in the pictures. But those were super cool. And it was also cool to hear more Southern accents. I was missing them. And it was awesome. It was good to work with Cook and Temple and those things. And we did the VBS theme was Twists and Turns, which was from a few years ago. And I got to help with music because I missed it this year at our VBS. And so that was fun. And then so Ebea is the Spanish-speaking church, and they had a block party. We thought that the block party started at 4 and ended at 7. It started at 6 and ended at 9. So it was really a fun time. It was great. We got tacos. I'm not complaining. But in the middle, actually, I'll get to that when the picture comes up. That's Andrea and Rick. Oh, and Ebea had a team from Texas, so it was even more Southern people. And also, like, every time there was like a group of Southerners together, they'd be like, why are you guys all here? Why are you all from the South? I was like, I don't know, I was just born there. But it was cool because it gave us opportunities to be like, this is why we're here and this is what we're doing. And once again, they let us talk because they think we don't know any better. So, and the last day of each camp, we had like these celebrations, and so the interns were in charge of like doing that. So we had to like, it was like hot dogs and snow cones and cotton candy, and that was really fun to do. We were like running around town all day trying to make these hot dogs. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was an adventure, every moment of it, and it was cool. And that was on Friday, because the camps were from Tuesday through Friday. It was only 4 days because the teams didn't get there until Monday. But I think 4 days was the perfect amount of time. And then at the end of the week, we had this thing called Taste of Okotoks. So Taste of Okotoks is like all of the restaurants of Okotoks get together and they just serve their food, and it's like for tickets. You go buy tickets. It's like a fair. It was really fun. And last year, Cornerstone signed up and they served jambalaya. And this year we did Southern barbecue, because in Canada, when they say barbecue, they mean hot dogs and hamburgers, and that's wrong. And so we got to teach them what real Southern barbecue was, and everybody loved it. It was super awesome. Like, we're serving food, and it's like little like sample servings. And it was cool because I got to yell at people and I couldn't get in trouble for it. And I was like, come get your Southern barbecue. And I don't sound like that when I talk, I don't think, but I pretended I did. And it was just really fun. And a couple people were like, hey, because there is a Southern barbecue restaurant in town, but they came up to us and they were like, y'all might be better than them. And we were like, we know. No, we weren't like that. I may have been in my head, but we were not.
Go ahead and tell them that it was actually a Canadian.
It was a Canadian that made it. It was so good, guys. It was so good. But it was Dan Kiesman. He came through. He made all that. And it was a group effort, but he did all the smoking and the barbecuing. He did great. Anyway, and that was just super fun. And at one point, because we're all in our blue shirts, you'll see a picture of it. We have our blue tents and our blue shirts, and we did it in shifts. I worked the first shift, so the second shift I got to go explore. And this one little guy from one of the teams, he came up and was like, you have to try the gator bites. And I was like, where are they getting gator in Canada? This is crazy. So me and Olivia, we go to the gator bite stand, and the guy's like, he sees our shirts and he's like, are you guys all from Louisiana? And I was like, yes, in fact, we are. Anyway, it was just funny because they were recognizing us, our mission, I could tell that it was working because they know. And at one point in the thrift store, this lady had been talking to us. She was like, so why are you here? And I was like, well, I'm helping this church. And she was like, the Louisiana church? And I was like, yes, how do you know about us? And she was like, from Taste of Okotoks last year. And I was like, that's crazy. And one guy came up to the booth and he was like, if this brisket is good enough, I'm coming to church in the morning. That is really high stakes right there. We're like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And it was good enough. He came. It was great. I'm sure Dan is going to be high off that forever because that's the highest honor. But just things like that kept happening, and it was really cool. That was probably my favorite outreach event that we did. That was really fun. And so, yeah, these are our pictures. This is Nathan. Can you see it? Oh. These are the fun pictures. I need you guys to see them. Hold on, let me. Okay. Let me lock in, guys. Okay. Okay, this is Nathan, Pastor Nathan, and this is us. We were decorating the church in the wee hours of the night, so just know that happened. This is the older kids group of VBS, Vacation Bible School. They, the people in blue are obviously our volunteers. This is all the people we had helping us, and it was a super great time. You can see all of our little kid helpers down here. They were great. It was just fun. This was VBS, and then this is Ari being swung in the bubbles. So whimsical. Anyway, we had bubbles because the kids came early and we started late. Anyway, because kids would also come late, so we had to wait to start for them. Anyway, and so we would just have bubbles going on outside. And so the kids loved the bubbles, and so that was really fun. Can you see this? Okay, so this is Andrea and Rick. So we were at the block party, and I was having some struggles with Lydia. I was very frustrated at a lot of things. Most of it was myself. So it was it was no one's fault but my own that I was feeling these ways. And this lady, Andrea, she comes up to me. Well, actually, first, I'm serving tacos, and I see them in the taco line, and I'm like, I know you guys, but I don't know where. And usually I would assume that I'm related to them or something, but we're in Canada, so I know I'm not. So I was like, okay, who are these people? Anyway, they come through the line, and then Rick comes and gets seconds. And he's like, oh my goodness, Andrea said she saw you. And I was like, oh my goodness, they know me. Why do they know me? And I knew them. Anyway, and I go up to Andrea after, and we're talking, and she finally mentions that she was at the Breeze's house where I was staying. She was like, yeah, Dennis told us this. That's the dad. And I was like, everything clicked. It all made sense. They had come have dinner with us, or lunch. No, yeah, lunch. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But they had come eating with us, and they're from Venezuela, and Andrea was saying at the block party, she was like, I'm so glad that we met you when we did, because some of our friends just became Christians and they were looking for a Spanish-speaking church, and you guys told us about Evea. And that was nothing that I did special. That was nothing Olivia did special, but it was just a very needed reminder that like what we were doing was not in vain. Like the Lord works in things that weren't even part of the mission trip. That was just like hanging out at the house. And so that was just really cool and encouraging to see them. And they were super sweet, fun people. And I felt really, really bad that it took me that long to recognize them. I felt terrible, but we got through it. And then this is at soccer camp. This is during Bible study. This is during Bible study. Neil is this guy, he's sharing. So we would do soccer for like an hour, Bible study, and then we would do soccer again. And we did a lot of coaches versus kids games, and those were really fun. But every day we did a Bible story, the gospel was shared, and we got to, most of the focus, like obviously we're sharing the gospel with these kids, but our goal is to talk to the parents because the parents are the ones who are going to take them back, bring them back to church, bring them back to camp next year. And so we got to make a lot of really cool connections with parents and stuff like that. A lot of the kids were returning from last year because soccer is a really big deal over there, but the like soccer camp is like $300-400 and ours was $30. So they liked us. And so it was really cool. And Ellen, she was kind of in charge of the whole soccer thing, and she did a phenomenal job. And then this is us at Taste of Okotoks. You can't, I was trying to find Dan, but Dan's not in this picture, I don't think. Can you see it? Yeah. Anyway, that's what it looked like. There were just like booths everywhere, like all down the street. They shut down the main road. It's like the historic downtown. It was just really cool. And it opened up a lot of conversations. And the next day, this was on Saturday, and then Sunday, the Sunday before we left, we had like a big like goodbye, like potluck kind of deal. And a lot of people came because they knew there would be food again. And I got to try some of Dan's famous bacon. It was really good. I'm sorry that you guys will not get to taste Dan's famous bacon, but it was cool. Anyway, that was just a lot of good stuff came from that event. It was great. And then, yeah, so that's my last slide. But before I am done, we made it on the front of the newspaper of not a newspaper, but like a news article online. We were the first photo in a very liberal newspaper, and Cornerstone Church was written on it. And that was like a really big deal, because it was a liberal newspaper, and we were on the front, and we were in like 2 photos, and they talked about the Southern barbecue. I don't think they talked about our funny accents, but they probably could have. And I didn't read it, but it was cool that we were on there. And it was just like, I don't know, people are beginning to see the church as part of their community. And that was really awesome because that's what that's what the church is. And it was just super cool. So yeah, some of my main takeaways from this, especially just like coming alongside Nathan and Emily, and like they're just living, and they're like I said earlier, life and mission are the same thing. It was very much encouraging and convicting, because the way I was acting in Canada, I should not be acting any differently here. I should be just as intentional, just as determined to win souls to the kingdom as I was there. And it's easy to be conscious of that when you're in a different place, and the whole reason you're there is missions. But that's how we should live here. And that was really just a good reminder. And I cannot honestly say that that's how I live when I'm here. And I hope, and I will make an effort to change that and make that different. And then also, I just love mission trips. It was really awesome to go there. It was awesome to meet those people and make those friendships, and just meet new people to love, like brothers and sisters in Christ who I would not have met if I had stayed here. And it was just super awesome to be able to go, and it's because of you guys that I got to go. And once again, I'm so grateful for that. But it was so awesome to just make those connections and see those things. So I highly encourage you guys. You don't have to go to Canada, but go on a mission trip. Go somewhere, because it's really awesome, and you're serving the Lord, and He changes you through it. So super cool. That's all I've got. If y'all have questions.